The front now.
1k to go there, so we're turning into the climb. It's 800 meters of uphill now towards the finish line, and it's getting steeper and steeper and steeper on this particular bit.
It's barrier lined, and it's Tinkoff Saxo trying to set something up for Michael Valgren. Where is he? Sitting quite a way down the group at the moment. Lars Bohm's in good position, isn't he? Sitting about 6th rider, but this is an absolute leg breaker.
Yeah, it's very, very hard getting up towards the top of this one. It just levels out for about 50 odd meters. You turn right and then left and then back out onto that 4%. Again, Juul Jensen on the front here. It looks like that's Rasmus Guldhammer as well from Cult Energy, who's actually from this particular town, so he will know this stretch of road very, very well indeed, and he is a good climber.
Oh, gaps developing here. Just it's leveled off slightly, but it's still going uphill.
Marcato getting back on towards this group as well.
That's Marco Marcato from the...
Lars Back as well, coming back in there in the red jersey for Lotto Soudal.
Marcato from Monty Group Gobert, little left-right flick and heading to the finish line. Big crowds out for the 25th anniversary Tour of Denmark. Little flick, and here comes Juul Jensen around. And he'll be honour-bound to try and take these 3 bonus seconds, because Marcato's handily placed. He's 13 seconds behind on overall, and it's Chris Juul Jensen that takes the 3 seconds. 2 seconds useful for Marco Marcato, but how much energy did he use in that? And this group has certainly established itself out front. They've got a handy advantage.
Well, I think for Marcato, is a good climber, though. It's a circuit that should suit him quite well, and obviously he was up there in the on the opening stage as well. So he's doing himself a world of good here by picking up a couple of seconds. And this man is the big loser of today's stage so far.
Well, he's isolated and he's gone to the front of the group. It's the overall race leader, Lars Bohm, who's having to close a few gaps himself, and he's got well, more than one group to get back onto, because it's split massively on that climb under the combined impetus of Tinkoff Saxo, with Chris Juul Jensen taking the points and the bonus seconds at the top of that climb. Rasmus Guldhammer is in there for Team Cult Energy. I can tell you that off mic, before the start of this program, Magnus Backstedt said that Rasmus Guldhammer was a man to watch out for today. So far he's clearly on good form. He's got a teammate coming up from behind. It's going to be a bigger group. 5 riders to be joined by another 4 or 5. Who's managed to get in there? Is that Cielek?
That is Cielek, yeah.
For MTN Quebec with the big yellow Q on the back. Gerald Cielek, former winner of Milan San Remo, among many other races.
That's Matt Schmidt as well down the back there. A rider from the Team Cool Quick. Young guy as well, 21 years of age.
Good news for Team Cult Energy, because they've managed to get 2 riders into the mix. There's lots of looking around themselves to see what sort of an advantage they have. I think it's definitely one worth persevering with, as Chris Juul Jensen, puff of his cheeks as he takes the advantage of the gradient. Everyone looking around, trying to see, was this one worth riding for? And Juul Jensen doesn't seem minded to push on at the moment. They haven't got Valgren there.
No, they haven't got Valgren in there, but they still need to keep an eye on this one.
But Chris Juul Jensen is sitting 5th overall, 15 seconds behind going into today's stage. He's taken 3 seconds, of course, so he's reduced the deficit to just 12 seconds between himself and Lars Bohm, plus what he carries on the road at the moment. Chris Juul Jensen has something to race for himself.
Well, I think he's definitely looking good enough to potentially take the overall here. I think his biggest threat is going to end up being Marcato.
And who's coming from behind? And at the moment, he's just 1 second behind Marcato. He's 12 seconds in arrears. Marcato's 11 seconds. That's adjusted from the bonus points, the bonus sprint that they've taken, and they're trying to get themselves organised. I think this is Kolar, I should say, that is assisting for Team Tinkoff Saxo. Cielek just playing a watching brief at the moment at the back of that group, not minded to go up front. He's got Edvald Bosenhagen behind. And Zielek can play that card.
Yeah, we should say that Lars Bak has got a whole bunch of 4th and 5th places on in this particular stage in the past. So he's a man who's been up here and done well here before, but not quite managed to pull a win out.
So Lars Bohm finds himself having to do most of the work.
Jelle van Endert on his wheel.
Well, he's not going to be helping him, is he? Jelle van den Dirk from Lotto Soudal to just sit on the overall race leader, Lars Bohm, and won't be giving him any assist. And Christian Knaes is there for Team Sky as well. Meanwhile, at the front, a little bit of a conversation. Are we riding or are we not?
Yeah, I think at the moment he's doing, like Jelle van Endert is doing the right thing for just sitting on the wheel of Lars Bohm and effectively trying. Van Endert is such a good climber that he will probably let Boom do as much work as he possibly can, see if he can bring them closer to this front group, and then Van Endert will try and jump across and bridge up to this one and help Lars Bak out.
Marco Marcato goes to the front of this group. It's a significant one. Still over 13 kilometers remaining. We're well into the first of 3 circuits. It's stage 3 of the Tour of Denmark. It's been all action all afternoon. The early break once more dragged back quite early under the combined forces of Tinkoff Saxo, with a little bit of assistance from Team Sky. Crashes aplenty, action aplenty, and the end-up situation is that after the first ascent of this wall, they've got to get up to the Kittisvej.
Boom is under pressure here, he's struggling.
Lars Bohm, the overall race leader, finds himself in a group chasing those leaders up front at a distance of 23 seconds, and Lars Bohm is struggling to stay up there, and he's the only representative of Team Astana, absolutely decimated. Jakob Fuglsang, their GC Hope, unfortunately crashing earlier on. Team Cult Energy have a couple of riders. Rasmus Guldhammer, of course, is with them. Chris Jensen is there for Tinkoff Saxo. Marco Marcato. Lars Bak has made the split. Matty Breschel is doing a job. A little bit further back.
No, I think that's actually Mikael Gogol.
Yeah, Mikael Gogol for Team Tinkoff Saxo is at the back of this group. Breschel is further is in the group further back. I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. 11.5 kilometers remaining in the Tour of Denmark stage 3, and the bunch has been absolutely decimated this afternoon. There's going to be a revolution on general classification. It's not going to make pretty reading for several of the teams. Team Sky and Team Astana. Lars Bohm fighting a rearguard action. He's on his own and chasing a group that is chasing this group. Last update, 23 seconds. They're heading up the wall once more, the Kittisvej. 300 meters in total, 13% average. Gets up to the center of this, in the middle of this climb. And you can tell how tough it is by the grimaces on the face of the riders.
Well, I think Marcato wants this to continue to be quite hard and put pressure on the rest of the guys. Marcato's a very, very handy climber and a handy guy up this type of short, steeper ones, but Joel Jensen is looking very, very good indeed. And the man in black and white back there, Gerard Jolik, is, I think, going to be a potential danger man for today's stage. If they drag him all the way to the point where it levels out here and they turn out onto the main road, then Gerard Jolik is certainly the kind of rider who has got the punch to drop just about everyone.
Christian Jensen's on the front of the bunch as they want. Well, they was just a few moments ago. Gerald Zielek goes to the front now, and immediately.
I think that is actually Patrick Conrad from Borargon 18.
Patrick Conrad, the young Austrian racer.
And then we got Rasmus Trollwinter and Rasmus Guldhammer as well.
Team Cult Energy represented, the dark colours of Team Cult Energy represented with 2 riders. And that's useful for that Danish squad. Rasmus Guldhammer. And Guldhammer is clearly a man on a mission today. Little flick of the shoulders, and these riders are working well together. We've got 2 laps remaining on stage 3 of the Tour of Denmark. Just over 11 kilometres, twice around a 5.6 kilometre circuit, and here is the forlorn figure of the overall race leader, Lars Boom, but he's not going to be the overall race leader at the conclusion of today's activity. He will honour the jersey by racing flat out to the finish line, but these are worrying moments. There's no amount of making an adjustment to his SRM data readout. It's going to tell him he's going to have that sinking feeling, isn't he? Lars Boom, great stage victory on stage 1. Wore the jersey with pride yesterday and defended it well, courtesy of some great work by the Team Astana squad, but they were found wanting when Tinkoff Saxo went raiding today, weren't they? Lotto Soudal and Tinkoff Saxo set to benefit. So too Wanty Group Gobert, represented by Marco Marcato on the front of the bunch in the blue and white colours. The Italian racer, experienced rider. What a great acquisition he's been for Wanty Group Gobert, because he's doing a solid job again today. He's well up overall himself, and this man, Chris Juul Jensen, are set to benefit.
Yeah, Juul Jensen looking very good. Marcato looking very, very good indeed. And Siolik as well. There's a couple of guys in here that are looking like they're starting to become slightly second-hand.
Gerald Siolik knows exactly how to find the finish line. Look at those powerful thighs. He's not a sprinter. He says, I'm a lot more of an all-rounder than that. And he certainly is. He can get up the short, sharp shocks. How much energy can he save for the finish? Who's going to be the one that's going to have the legs for a finish, and who's going to try and strike out for glory as we hit the final 10 kilometres on the stage 3 of the post-Danmark Rundt, the Tour of Denmark to you and me. 185k in total into Vejle, and they've done 175 kilometres for Lars Boom. He's in time trial mode. Can he get back at least to the group in front, and perhaps they can tow him back to the group in front of that, which is this group of racers out front in the Tour of Denmark. For Boom, it's looking unlikely at this point, but who's coming out of this one?
Well, who is coming out there, but it'd be interesting to see how far it is back to the chasing group here as well. There's some quality bike riders in that particular bunch, and I think unless these guys really keep the pressure on, then they're likely to get caught.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the pressure is on absolutely flat chat at the moment. Here's, I was going to say the laughing group. I don't think there's anyone laughing in there.
Well, certainly Mr. Fuglsang won't be laughing there, I can tell you.
No. 3 times the winner of this race, 3 times in succession a few years ago, but for Jakob Fuglsang there'll be no victory in the Tour of Denmark for 2015. He'll be chasing stage victories, or perhaps assisting Lars Boom from now to the end of the race. For Boom, well, what can he do about retaining a place towards the head of the top table? Going to be difficult today.
I just wonder, this slightly more unknown man from Team Coolquick, Matt Schmidt, what he's like, because at the moment all the guys in this bunch, they're completely forgetting about him. He's sitting on the back here and just getting a very, well, what I'm saying, very nice ride, as nice as it's ever going to get on this particular circuit. But he's certainly looking like he's coping very well with the pressure at the moment.
Doing a very solid job indeed, and is the man from Team Coolquick, one of the local continental level teams, of which there are numerous in this part of the world.
He's in the back there with the green sleeves on the white jersey. You can just about spot him.
Marcato rolls to the front. And getting slightly conflicting numbers on your screen. We believe that it's Mads Schmidt that's in there for Team Coolquick, but he's sitting on the back. We're unlikely to find out for absolute certain for a little while. Has he got the legs for an attack? That's coming up pretty soon, you can be sure about it. Michael Gogol from Tinkoff Saxo makes way for the combined forces of Team Cult Energy, Rasmus Guldhammer, and of course Trolls Winter. Just over 7.5 kilometres remaining on this third stage of Tour of Denmark. Just under half a minute advantage, and it's increasingly looking like a winning one for these riders up front. They've established their lead on the finishing circuit from a small group that had raced clear with over 50 kilometres to go. Lots of tough racing action over all three stages of the Tour of Denmark, and the legs are going to be tired now, aren't they? It's a relatively short stage at 185 kilometres for riders of this pedigree, but that doesn't mean they won't be feeling it, because it's been all action throughout. Marco Marcato, he's pretty good on a flat road finish. What's he like up a finish of this kind of percentage climb?
Well, that's the difficulty, is that they have to cope with that steep section before they get to a point where they can start thinking about going for a sprint. And if you go too early on this climb, going on the steep bit, then you're going to be fighting to try and hold on to any kind of small advantage that you may get on that particular climb. So I think someone who's likely to latch out and really go for it on the steepest section is going to end up being Marcato.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have my eye on Gerald Ciolek. He won a great stage in Wales a couple of years ago.
He'll come later.
Yeah?
Yeah, Marcato will attack early to try and get rid of everyone. Ciolek will hold on to a point where he thinks he's confident he can get back on the slightly flatter section and then out sprint Marcato for the line. I definitely think Marcato will go first. Won
a great stage in Tour of Britain a few years ago in Wales, if memory serves. Just overhauled Sam Bennett on the run to the line, and it was a very, very steep finish. Ciolek is capable of an uphill sprint finish, and that's just the man on the right of picture there. Marcato in the middle of the group in the blue colours of Wanty Group Gobert. They're the picks from the commentary squad here at Eurosport. Hashtag home of cycling. Who do you think is going to take the victory today? Chris Jensen on the right-hand side of picture for Tinkoff Saxo has the advantage of Michael Gogol to help him in tactical terms, but this isn't going to be a tactical finish, is it?
Well, I would like to see Rasmus Goldhammer take the win today, because he's actually the homeboy. He is from this town, and it would be really nice to see a Danish continental team really getting out there and actually, you know, taking home a stage win.
That's Rasmus Goldhammer on the front for Team Cult Energy. The local man, his heart will be a flutter at the moment. He's getting the cheers of the local crowd. What would it mean to him to take victory in Vejle in a stage of the Tour of Denmark, the 25th anniversary of the first Tour of Denmark? Little look over his shoulder. Fellow countryman Chris Jensen. Gerald Ciolek next up for MTN Quebec, and Marco Marcato has picked the wheel that perhaps he feels is one of the dangerous ones.
It's going to come down to who has the cool to wait and wait and wait, knowing this circuit and knowing what it's like, and the damage that the first bit of climbing does to you before you start descending and then turning back up to a steep part of the climb as well. And it is a lot further from when you get into the top of the steep bit and come out onto this 4%. Although it says it's only for about 400 meters or so, it's a lot further than what you think it is. And the risk is that you just open up your sprint too early, go too early. And there's a lot of guys who really try and put the pressure on the steep bit, get out there onto the main road again, and are completely legless. And there's so many potential opportunities here.
Well, are the attacks kicking off early? Not surprised. With just a lap to go.
Yeah,
just over 5 kilometers to go, and it's Team Cult Energy, represented by Troels Winter, has gone for a little, well, it's more of a leg tester, wasn't it? Lapped riders behind, not involved in the race. It's a 35-second advantage for these riders up front. Jul Jensen has a little look behind. Troels Winter tries his luck. Gerald Ciolek is the one that has to close the gap from the group behind.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be riding away from Ciolek. He's smelling blood at this point. So, although Jul Jensen having a go and Lars Bak is having to close down that Marcato on the wheel. And then the man has been looking very good on the climb, though. The other Tinkoff Saxo rider, Google, He's a bit of an outsider for this one.
Less than 5 kilometres remaining on stage 3 of the Tour of Denmark. Marco Marcato has a little look over his shoulder because this lead group are surely racing to glory, but then just as I say it, they're starting to mess around a little bit. The attacks are starting to happen, and Lars back in the centre of picture, who's the man well, potentially going to benefit the most in terms of perhaps racing into the overall leader's jersey of the Tour of Denmark at the conclusion of today's activities. He's been anxiously exhorting his breakaway companions to continue to work together all the way to the flag, and you feel they have to because well, they're closing behind. I'm not sure it's a 3-second gap. I think it's a little bit more than that. Is it still the half-a-minute advantage that they had a little while ago? As Lars Bak will ride for GC. The man behind is Chris Juul Jensen. He's another man who'll be racing for general classification. He's sitting 5th overall at the moment. Marco Marcato is well placed as well. These are the riders that are going to benefit. Many of the others in there will be thinking about stage honours. That would be the glory for them as we're inside 4 kilometres on this, well, compelling, exciting. It's been all action this afternoon on the road to Vejle. It's always a stage that provides great action. It's been ever present in this race for many, many years now. And, well, why not when you give the public this kind of racing action? Team Cult Energy, the local squad.
Big attack over here.
Here it comes. Is it
Trolls?
It's Trolls Winter once more. He's got Guldhammer perhaps as the main chance for Team Cult Energy, and Trolls Winter is trying his luck.
Yeah, Marcato's having to respond to that one.
And it's the GC riders that feel they have to close the gap and try and keep the group together. Marcato rolls off the front before he continues this, so this could be good news for Trolls Winter.
Well, it's a bit of a stall in action in that group there, and you know, no one's really wanted to take this on, and this could be a perfect opportunity for Trolls Winter to go on and potentially take the stage win.
Tinkoff Saxo have 2 riders in there. Gogol, maybe he just hasn't got the legs at the moment, but Trolls Winter has been given enough rope. He's been given the opportunity. He's been given the opportunity to race to glory in Vejle. He has the hometown hero back in that group. That's his teammate, Rasmus Guldhammer, and what a great stalking horse he is for Team Cult Energy, and perhaps himself racing towards a famous victory on home soil. So Trolls Winter managed to hang on here. He's 2.5 kilometres to go, but remember, they've got that massive ramp, so there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of bike racing to be done yet, and especially with that steep climb, you know, you need to have something left when you get there. At the moment, though, there's a lot of looking around, and then, you know, trying to keep the position, trying not to do too much work, saving the legs, but still doing a bit of riding. It's a very difficult equation.
Well, he's got over 2 kilometres remaining, but he has got the necessary daylight. Rasmus Guldhammer has a free ride at the back of the group, as it's Patrick Conrad now for Bora Argon 18 that is doing the job on the front of the group, keeping the tempo high. We've got to remember, of course, to stay clear of the riders chasing behind. The last update we had on that was about a half. The last one you could trust was about a half a minute, and now he hits this leg breaker of a climb. Haven't hit the real steep, serious ascent. That's well within the last 400 or 500 meters.
Well, this bit is still hard going up here before we actually get out onto that dual carriageway, and it's one of those where he has to deal with this one, and now it's the important bit where you've got to change up and get up to speed again, get a bit more tempo in it. At the moment, though, that gap is not big enough.
It's not going up. If anything, it's coming down. Here comes another attack. It's the man from Team Coloquick, I think. Is it Schmidt?
Schmidt or Camp.
Yeah, we'll find out very shortly. And replaced. Bad news for Trolls Winter. Didn't quite have enough. And it's Chris Juul Jensen for Team Tinkoff Saxo finds himself on the front, responding to this attack. On the right-hand side of the picture, it's Lars Ittingback, who's marshalling affairs and trying to encourage his breakaway companions to close down this one, this next threat. Inside the last 1,500 metres through the hairpin, this section of dual carriageway, and this could be a nicely timed attack because Gerald Cielek on the front for MTN Quebec fancies the stage win. But he's going to need a little bit of assistance from his breakaway companions. Once more, it is Chris Juul Jensen on the front. He's not getting quite the level of assistance from Gogol, his teammate. I wonder if it's just a lack of energy at this point. You can be sure he would if he could.
Well, or Kemp, Google is feeling that much better that Jul Jensen is doing the majority of the work.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting call. Could it well be that they've decided to switch tactics?
Although Google is actually 1 minute and 16 down on the GC, so...
Well, it's Alexander Kamp, we believe, that is heading towards glory on stage 3 of the Tour of Denmark. Racing up the hill, he's hit the barriers and he's getting the cheers of the crowd, and he's got enough daylight. Has he got enough energy? It's a long, long way to hang on, but he's got a gap and there's no sign of the riders behind. They've been finessing and they've been looking around at each other to see who's going to be the one that's going to do the chasing. They've been eyeballing each other and forgetting about the riders behind. Here comes Gogol for Team Tinkoff Saxo to try and close this one down. His teammate Chris Jul Jensen at the back of the group. Has Kamp got enough in hand, because this is the steepest part of the climb and your advantage can disappear in seconds.
Well, Google can't go too hard though, because he needs to look after Jul Jensen. Jul Jensen's got to stay with Lars Bak. He's got to stay with Marcato. Otherwise, this is all for nothing.
Well, that gap has been closed down, and it's now Google that has closed that one nicely. And look at the back of the group. It's Lars hitting back. Gerald Cielek sitting next up for MTN Quebec. Rasmus Guldhammer we have second in line here. Marco Marcato goes for in the blue of 1T Group Gobert, but it was just a little shadow boxing. Still, they've got a long way to go on this climb. We're inside the last 500 meters. Gerald Cielek sitting at the back of the group. Looks nicely placed. Well, it's Magnus Backstedt has called it. Is it going to be for Gerald Cielek? They've come to the flatter part of the road. It's not flat by any means. And Gogol trying to set it up, trying to drag his teammate Chris Jul Jensen clear to glory. Maybe he can hang on himself for what would be a famous victory. And he has. He's got the lead. Nicely called by Magnus Backstedt, because he's got the win on stage 3. And it's Gogol that takes the victory. Surprises everyone. Ahead of Rasmus Guldhammer. Lars Iddingback has got something. Unfortunately for him, Gerald Cielek found that it was a hill too far, but what wonderful performance from all the riders in the breakaway, indeed all the riders towards the front of the Tour of Denmark on stage 3. It's been a cracking stage as Lars Bam's unzipped that yellow jersey. He knows he'll be taking it off for good at the conclusion of this stage as he races up the finishing hill. Well, it was a brave effort. They pick up some lapped riders, and it's actually Google that's behind him.
Yeah, I wonder if that's... No, that's Breschel.
Oh, it's Matti Breschel that gets the victory. Matti Breschel gets the victory for Team Tinkoff Saxo. What a fantastic performance from Team Tinkoff Saxo. It's another stage victory for Matti Breschel, I believe the 8th of his career. And Team Tinkoff Saxo, they played it brilliantly all day, didn't they? They blew things apart, and they had a fantastic tactical card to play in Matti Breschel. Well, we were getting lots of conflicting information about who was in the breakaway, but he knew exactly what he had. And Chris Jul Jensen did a solid job and did his GC hopes no harm at all, as we see Lars Boom coming across the line. It's been a brave effort from the Dutchman, from Team Astana, the only representative of his squad that managed to make the split. And a little puff of the cheeks as he realizes his tenure in the yellow jersey of the Tour of Denmark is coming to an end. And Lars Boom, well, the camera will concentrate on him, but I do believe that it's Lars Iddingback that's going to go into the yellow jersey. We won't commit to that one yet, but that's likely.
That's likely to be right. Yeah, it's a couple of intermediate sprint and bonus seconds to incorporate into that, but yeah, it looks like back.
They're coming over the line in ones and twos. It's been a savage day of bike racing. There's riders still with another lap to do after this, because well, the word is coming through. Matti Breschel's taken the victory. 2.5 minutes down for Lars Boom. He can't wait to get off the bike, can he? Brave effort. It's Matti Breschel that gets victory on stage 3 of the Tour of Denmark. after a brilliant tactical performance and a brilliant display of athletic ability into Viola. And on that finishing climb, that little leg breaker, he had what was necessary to do a great job. Let's hear from him now.
Den var rigtig hård.
So it was really, really hard.
Jeg begyndte sådan efter første gang over Kittesvej, hvor jeg ligesom havde braget den af og tænkte nu.
I said after the first time up the climb was
okay, det skal ikke gøre så mange gange.
Following, he said the first one he kind of gave it a bit of a go and then said I'm not going to do that too many times.
Så 4 rytter fra det samlede. Jeg hjælper lidt til,
men 4 riders from the GC and
på den første gang på Kittesvej er du nødt til at holde lidt igen for at få Christopher Juhl med, men
give it a bit of play.
Går du så efter etappesejren? Hvornår sker den der
said what about the tactical game there with Juhl Jensen on GC and when do you decide to go for the go for the stage win?
At jeg skulle køre, og
they say Chris told me that I should go and
vi gjorde det
exactly what I did.
For nogle år siden, så jeg ved det kan lade sig gøre.
So he said I know that you can actually do this type of a thing. So Phil was telling me that, and I did that a couple of years ago.
Det er skønt. Det er derfor man gør det her.
It's really, really nice to win here today.
Der er langt mellem snapsene efterhånden, ikke? Så det er sgu skønt, når det endelig lykkes.
Du må hellere nyde det. Tak for det, Martin.
Tak.
Really, really nice when it finally happens.
Well, there you have confirmation of the finishing order at the conclusion of stage 3. It's Matty Breschel that gets the victory. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 for local riders. Rasmus Guldhammer for Team Cult Energy. Alexander Kamp for the local squad Quick as well. To the 4, Lars Bak doing his GC hopes no harm at all with a 4th place finish ahead of Marcado, Thielek, Conrad, Chris Jensen, Trolls Winter and Jay McCarthy 10th over the line for Tinkoff Saxo after a battling performance. 3 Tinkoff Saxos in the top 10. Breschel gets the victory. And what's going to happen to general classification? They're still totting it up. We wait with bated breath to find out if Lars Ittingback has managed to make his way into the overall race lead. As we survey the scene over the marina area in Viola. Oh, what a day of action that we have had. The early breakaway called to account. Well, Team Astana were happy to look after things early on, but then it got physical, it got busy, and Jakob Fuglsang, just one of many riders to crash in the crosswinds. Lars Bohm, when they hit that finishing circuit, unfortunately didn't have what it took. And it's Matty Breschel that gets the win. Wow, the scene over Viola this afternoon. After what's been a stunning day of bike racing, we're just waiting to find out exactly who's going to be handed the post-Danmark overall race lead, the yellow jersey. So no confirmation exactly who's got it, but that was pretty exciting stuff, and that time trial tomorrow is going to keep them used. 115-kilometre road stage in the morning, followed by that evening time trial. We'll be here live on the home of cycling. Well, Magnus, what a stage we've had this afternoon. A great victory for Breschel, nicely played by Tinkoff Saxo.
Yeah, it was definitely very good. Just can't believe I didn't spot Breschel.
Well, Tour of Poland coming up today, live here on Eurosport. at 17:30 CET. That's 16:30 if you're in Britain or Ireland. Tour of Denmark tomorrow. The time trial, 13.6 kilometres, live at 6 p.m.